Welcome to the deep dive. We're going to be taking a deep dive into AI engineering today,
Sounds good.
specifically how these powerful foundation models are being used to like build applications that you use every single day.
Yeah.
And our guide for this journey is Chip Hyen's 2025 book, AI Engineering: Building Applications with Foundation Models.
It's a really good one.
Yeah, and this book is it's a must read, I think, for anyone looking to understand how to practically apply AI,
Yeah.
whether you're working at a startup or at a large company.
Yeah, it's really practical, yeah.
One thing that really struck me was just how quickly this field is changing. Like
Oh, for sure.
even just a few years ago, 100 billion parameter model was considered like massive,
Right.
and now it's basically the norm. It's like the
Yeah.
the baseline.
Yeah, they're getting bigger and bigger all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I also found fascinating was the book's insights into how these models are being used in ways that we wouldn't have imagined before.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, like even just a few years ago, people were using AI for things like, like filtering spam emails.
Right, right.
And now it's being used for so much more.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start by unpacking this a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what makes AI engineering different from like traditional machine learning?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because they both involve building these models, right?
Right.
So what sets them apart?
Well, I think a good way to think about it is that traditional machine learning is really focused on like building models to do one specific task,
Okay.
like filtering spam emails. But AI engineering is about building an entire application powered by AI. So,
Right.
like one example that comes to mind is Apple's Face ID.
Okay.
Like that whole system,
Right.
from the algorithms to the hardware,
Yeah.
is really a product of AI engineering.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not just an add-on feature.
Right.
It's core to how the iPhone functions.
Right. Okay. Okay. So it's about building like a whole ecosystem around the AI, not just like a single component.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good way to illustrate the difference.
Yeah.
So to kind of break down how this works, the book uses the analogy of a three-layer cake.
Okay.
So do you want to walk us through these layers?
Yeah. So the first layer is application development.
Okay.
And that's really like designing the blueprint for your application.
Okay.
You're defining the purpose,
Yeah. Hi.
the user experience, and how the different components are going to interact.
Yeah.
And this is where you'd find job titles like AI product manager or UX designer.
Okay. So that's really focused on the user and what they're going to experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Then you have the model development layer,
Yeah. Okay.
and this is really where the magic happens.
Okay.
This layer is focused on selecting the right model for your application and then training it effectively. And so you see roles like ML engineer or data scientist coming in here,
Right. Right.
and they're choosing the algorithms, they're tuning the parameters,
Mhm.
and they're making sure that the model is learning from the data the right way.
Okay, okay. So that's where all the technical stuff happens. The
Yeah.
the training and the algorithm selection, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, you have the infrastructure layer.
Mhm.
And this layer provides the foundation for your AI application to run smoothly.
Uh-huh.
It's all about setting up the hardware, the software, the data storage,
Right.
all the technical nuts and bolts that allow your AI to function.
Okay.
So you'll find roles like cloud architect or DevOps engineer working behind the scenes to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Okay, so that's like the plumbing.
Yeah.
That makes everything work.
Exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
so those are your three layers.
Okay, it's fascinating how those layers then translate into like real job titles and team structures within AI companies. It gives you a tangible sense of how these concepts are applied in the real world.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the foundation, but what about the building blocks themselves?
Okay.
These foundation models, they sound pretty important.
They are. They are.
So what are they?
So essentially, these models are trained on massive amounts of data,
Okay.
and that allows them to perform a wide variety of tasks.
Okay.
And the book really emphasizes how the data that you choose to train these models with is crucial to their performance.
So like what you feed the model directly impacts how well it thinks and acts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you give me an example?
Sure. So imagine you're training a model to translate languages.
Okay.
If you only feed it English and French text, it's going to be really good at translating between those two languages.
Okay.
But if you ask it to translate something in Mandarin, it's going to be totally lost.
Right. So it only knows what it's been exposed to.
Exactly. It's like trying to teach someone to cook Italian food, but only giving them fresh recipes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it just won't work.
Yeah.
Okay. And as these models get bigger and more complex,
Right.
they require even more data to reach their full potential.
Yeah, and there are even concerns about running out of internet data to train future models.
Wait, so we could actually run out of data.
It's a real concern.
That's a bit scary. What happens then?
Well, one solution that people are exploring is using AI-generated data to train new models.
Okay.
But that raises the question of what happens when you train a model on data that was created by another AI.
Yeah.
It could lead to all sorts of unforeseen and potentially problematic behaviors.
Right. It's like a feedback loop that could get out of control.
Exactly.
Okay, so these foundation models are trained on tons of data.
Mm.
What kinds of applications can they build?
Well, the possibilities are pretty much endless. But let's focus on some examples that are already impacting our lives.
Okay.
One that comes to mind is AI-assisted coding.
Okay.
So imagine a tool that could write and debug code for you.
That would be incredible. I can't tell you how much time I would save if I didn't have to debug my code.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver.
Okay, so what else can these models do?
Well, another big area is image and video production.
Okay.
AI can now help you create stunning visuals.
Okay.
Whether it's generating marketing materials or editing videos.
Right.
It's like having a team of artists and editors at your fingertips.
Wow. So it's really making these creative processes more accessible and efficient.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. It's like having a whole production studio in your computer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. What about writing?
Oh.
Can AI be used for that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
AI can be used to craft compelling marketing copy,
Uh,
write blog posts, or even generate scripts.
wow.
It can be a really powerful tool for content creators across all sorts of industries.
So it's like having a brainstorming partner.
Yeah.
That's always full of ideas.
Exactly.
That sounds incredibly useful for someone like me who struggles with writer's block sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a real lifesaver.
What about applications in other fields
Sure.
like education?
Oh, yeah, there's a huge potential there.
Okay.
One area that's particularly exciting is personalized education.
Okay.
So imagine AI tailoring learning plans for each student,
Okay.
adapting to their strengths and weaknesses in real time.
Wow.
It could really revolutionize how we learn
Okay.
and make education more engaging and effective.
So it's making education more accessible and more personalized for everyone.
Exactly.
That's a really exciting application.
Yeah.
What about these conversational bots that everyone's talking about?
Oh, yeah. Can you tell me more about those?
Yeah, so AI is being used to build these chatbots
Yeah,
that
cool.
can assist with tasks,
Okay.
answer questions, and even provide companionship.
Okay.
So imagine a chatbot that can help you manage your schedule,
Right.
book appointments, or even provide customer support.
It sounds like these AI-powered assistants are going to become like ubiquitous part of our lives.
Yeah, I think they already are in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Like take photo management apps, for example.
Okay.
Some of them are using AI to make searching through thousands of photos effortless.
Right.
It's like having an assistant who can instantly locate any photo you need.
Okay. Yeah, that's super useful. I can't tell you how much time I've wasted scrolling through my photo library trying to find a specific picture.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver.
Okay. So what else? What are some other like business applications where AI is being used?
Well, one area is document analysis.
So think about extracting key information from contracts or reports.
Right.
AI can automate those tedious tasks and make data analysis much more efficient.
So it's like a game changer for businesses dealing with a lot of paperwork.
Absolutely.
Okay, so these are just a few examples.
Right.
But as foundation models continue to evolve,
Mhm.
we can expect even more innovative applications to emerge
Oh, for sure.
in the coming years.
Yeah.
But building these sophisticated AI systems,
Right.
it's not without its challenges.
Yeah, there are definitely challenges.
What are some of the hurdles that AI engineers um, they face?
Well, one crucial aspect is evaluating and adapting AI systems for real-world use.
Okay.
And the book really emphasizes that a model might perform amazingly in a controlled setting,
Okay.
but then struggle when it's actually deployed in a real-world application.
So just because it aces the test doesn't mean it's ready for the big leagues.
Exactly. You really need to make sure that the model can handle the complexities and unpredictability of real-world data.
Okay.
And then there's also the concept of drift,
Yeah.
where a model's performance can actually degrade over time.
Okay.
So you need to constantly monitor it and adapt it.
So it's like a musical instrument that slowly goes out of tune.
Exactly.
Okay, so you need to constantly fine tune the AI
Yeah.
to keep it performing at its best.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, one technique that AI engineers use is called fine-tuning.
Okay.
And that's essentially adapting a pre-trained model for a specific task
Okay.
by training it further on a smaller, more focused data set.
Okay, so it's like taking a general purpose tool
Yeah.
and sharpening it for a specific job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, but before jumping into fine tuning,
Right.
the book emphasizes a key question
Yeah.
is it really necessary? Right.
Like why is that so important?
Well, fine tuning requires more resources compared to other techniques,
Okay.
like prompt engineering, for example.
Okay.
You need data, you need computing power, you need expertise.
Okay.
So it's not a decision to be made lightly.
So it's like bringing in a specialist consultant.
Yeah.
When you need a specific problem solved.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hire them for every little task.
Right.
Okay, so when would fine-tuning be the best approach?
Well, there are a few scenarios where it really shines.
Okay.
One is if you're building an AI application for a specific industry,
Yep.
like finance or healthcare.
Right.
Fine-tuning can help the model understand the unique language and concepts of that domain.
So it's like giving the AI like a crash course
Yeah.
in a particular field's terminology and practices.
Exactly.
Another scenario is when you need to really improve performance on a very specific task.
Okay.
So let's say you have a language model
Okay.
and you want it to excel at generating rhyming poetry.
Okay.
Fine-tuning it on a data set of classic poems with strong rhyme schemes
Yeah.
could really improve its poetic abilities.
So it's like sending the AI to poetry school.
Yeah, pretty much.
To refine its skills.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might need to fine tune a model to ensure that it aligns with specific values or preferences.
Right.
So, for example, let's say a company wants to create a chatbot that embodies their brand voice.
Okay. Which is known for being, friendly and informal.
Oh, wait.
Fine-tuning can help achieve that consistency.
So it's like giving the AI a personality transplant to align with the company's brand identity.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fascinating. But focusing so heavily on one task or one domain could make the model like worse at other things, right?
That's a valid concern.
Okay.
It's known as catastrophic forgetting in AI,
Okay.
where focusing on one area might cause the model to lose its proficiency in others.
Okay.
But the book outlines strategies to avoid this.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you can teach the AI new tricks,
Right,
without it forgetting its old ones.
exactly.
Okay, good. So fine tuning is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
There's another fascinating aspect to working with these powerful models,
Yeah.
and that's learning how to talk to them effectively.
Right.
And that's where prompt engineering comes in.
Exactly.
Prompt engineer, that sounds like we're going to be learning how to whisper sweet nothings to the AI.
Well, not exactly sweet nothings, but prompt engineering is the art of crafting instructions to get AI models to do what you want.
Okay.
It's like learning to speak their language.
So it's about understanding how to communicate effectively with this powerful tool.
Yeah.
To get the best results.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some of the key prompt engineering strategies?
Well, the book offers several intriguing ones.
Okay.
One is breaking down complex tasks into simpler subtasks.
Okay.
It's kind of like teaching a child a complex recipe step by step.
Right, right. So it's about making the task digestible.
Yeah.
For the AI.
Exactly.
Okay, what other strategies are there?
Another one is giving the model time to think.
Okay.
So by structuring prompts in a way that encourages step-by-step reasoning,
Okay.
you're allowing the AI to process information more effectively.
So it's not just about giving the instructions.
Right.
It's about guiding the AI's thought process.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's interesting. Are there any other key strategies?
Yeah, one of the most important is to be clear and explicit with your instructions.
Okay.
Think of it like communicating with a human collaborator.
Right.
The more precise your instructions are,
Okay.
the better the results will be.
It's like that old saying, to say what you mean and mean what you say.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we've talked about how to communicate with AI,
Right.
but the book also mentions some even more advanced concepts,
Yeah.
log guy and agents.
Yeah, those are some really cool
'Cause
concepts.
I'm intrigued. These sound like they could unlock like even more powerful AI applications.
They absolutely do.
Okay.
So RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Okay.
And it allows models to access external knowledge beyond their initial training data.
Okay.
So imagine giving an AI access to a vast library of information to answer your questions.
So instead of just relying on what it already knows,
Right.
it can do research and expand its knowledge base.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like giving the AI a research assistant
Yeah.
who can quickly find and synthesize relevant information.
Okay, that's really cool. And then there are agents.
Right.
Which can take things even a step further, right?
They can. Yeah.
Okay.
They can use tools. They can access databases.
Okay.
They can even interact with the real world
Wow.
to complete complex tasks.
That sounds almost like science fiction.
It kind of is.
Okay, so what would a real world example of an agent look like?
Well, imagine an AI travel agent
Okay.
that can not only book flights and hotels,
Okay.
but also plan entire itineraries based on your preferences,
Okay.
suggest local attractions, and even book dinner reservations.
It's like having a personal concierge who takes care of all the details of your trip.
Exactly, yeah.
That's incredible. It sounds like something out of a futuristic movie.
It really does.
But it's happening now.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we're only scratching the surface of what RAG and agents can achieve.
Yeah, they represent a significant leap forward in AI capabilities.
Okay, well we've covered a lot of ground
We have.
in this discussion of AI engineering.
Yeah.
From the basics of foundation models
Yeah.
to these mind-blowing concepts like RAG and agents. But before we move on to even more fascinating topics, I want to just take a moment to appreciate how far AI has come
Oh, for sure.
from simple spam filters
Right.
to AI-powered travel agents.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how these technologies are transforming our lives.
It really is, yeah.
And it underscores why it's so important for everyone to have at least a basic understanding of AI and how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
I completely agree. Knowledge is power, especially in the age of AI.
Right.
Okay, well let's delve even deeper
Right.
into the world of AI engineering
Right.
and explore some of the techniques and strategies that are being used to really push the boundaries
Yeah.
of what's possible.
Shown good.
We were just scratched the surface of RAG and agents,
Yeah, we did.
but let's rewind a bit
Okay.
and revisit a fundamental aspect of AI engineering.
Yeah.
Fine-tuning.
Gain tuning, right.
We touched on it briefly,
Yeah.
but the book dedicates a whole chapter to it.
Yeah.
So there's clearly more to unpack.
Absolutely.
So can you remind us again, like, what exactly is fine-tuning?
Yeah, so fine-tuning is like taking a general purpose AI model
Okay.
and tailoring it for a specific task.
Okay.
So imagine you have a multi-tool
Okay.
with a saw, a screwdriver,
Uh-huh.
and pliers. It's handy for general tasks,
Right.
But if you need to do some serious woodworking,
Okay.
you'd want a dedicated saw with a sharper blade.
Right, right.
So you're essentially refining the model to make it more specialized.
Okay, so you're building on the model's existing knowledge base
Right.
and honing its skills in a particular area.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
But the book emphasizes a key question.
Yes.
Before you even start fine-tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really necessary?
Right.
Why is that so important?
Well, fine-tuning requires more resources compared to other techniques,
Okay.
like prompt engineering that we talked about.
Okay.
You need data.
Okay.
You need computing power.
Right.
And you need expertise.
Okay.
So it's not a decision to be made lightly.
So it's like bringing in a specialist consultant.
Yeah, exactly.
When you need a specific problem solved, you wouldn't hire them for every little task.
Right.
So when would fine-tuning be the best approach?
Well, there are a few scenarios where it really shines.
Okay.
One is if you're building an AI application for a specific industry,
Okay.
like finance or
Okay.
healthcare,
Right.
fine-tuning can help the model understand the unique language and concepts of that domain.
It's like giving the AI a crash course
Yeah, exactly.
in a particular field's terminology and practices.
Right.
Okay.
Another scenario is when you need to significantly boost performance on a very specific task.
Okay.
So let's say you have a language model and you want it to excel at generating rhyming poetry.
Okay.
Fine-tuning it on a data set of classic poems with strong rhyme schemes could dramatically improve its poetic abilities.
So it's like sending the AI to poetry school
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
to refine its skills.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes you might need to fine-tune a model to ensure that it aligns with specific values or preferences. So imagine a company wants to create a chatbot that embodies their brand voice,
Yeah.
which is known for being, friendly and informal.
Yeah.
Fine-tuning can help achieve that consistency.
Absolutely.
So it's like giving the AI a personality transplant
Pretty much. Yeah.
to align with the company's brand identity.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
But focusing so heavily on one task or one domain could make the model like worse at other things, right?
That's true. That's a valid concern.
Okay.
It's known as catastrophic forgetting in
Oh,
AI,
Okay.
where focusing on one area might cause the model to lose its proficiency in others.
So it's like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But fear not, the book outlines strategies to avoid this.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you can teach the AI new tricks without it forgetting its old ones.
Exactly.
Okay, good. So fine-tuning is clearly a powerful technique,
It is.
but its success hinges on having high-quality data, right? With these large language models,
Yeah.
we're talking massive amounts of data.
Yeah, huge amounts.
So where does it all come from?
That's where the often overlooked but equally crucial field of data set engineering comes in.
Data set engineering. Okay,
Yeah.
so what exactly is that?
So remember how we talked about the importance of the data used to train these
Yeah.
foundation models?
Right.
Data set engineering is all about ensuring that data is high quality and ready to fuel those powerful AI engines.
So it sounds like data set engineering is like the unsung hero of AI development.
You could say that. Yeah. It's more than just gathering as much data as possible.
Okay.
It's about understanding the specific needs of your model and curating a data set that will help it learn effectively.
So it's about being selective
Yeah.
and strategic with your data choices, not just going for quantity over quality.
Exactly.
Well-
Data set engineers consider factors like the quantity, the quality, the diversity, and even the distribution of data.
So just like with food,
Yeah.
the quality of the ingredients determines the quality of the final product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what are the hallmarks of good data for AI training?
Well, first and foremost, accuracy.
Okay.
The data needs to be correct and reliable.
Right.
Imagine training a language model on a data set full of grammatical errors and misinformation.
Right. So it'd be like teaching a child to speak using a book full of gibberish. That would be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else is important besides accuracy?
Well, consistency is key.
Okay.
The data should be consistent in terms of format, style, and labeling.
Okay.
So imagine training an image recognition model.
Okay.
where some pictures of cats are labeled as cat,
Okay.
while others are labeled as feline or kitty.
Right.
That inconsistency would confuse the model
Right.
and hinder its ability to learn effectively.
So it's like trying to teach a child about colors
Yeah,
using a set of crayons where the labels keep changing.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got accuracy, we've got consistency.
Mhm.
What else should data set engineers be mindful of?
Well, another important factor is completeness.
Okay.
The data set should cover all the relevant aspects of the task or domain you're training the model for.
Right.
So if you're building a chatbot for a bank,
Okay.
it needs to be trained on a wide range of customer queries,
Right.
not just a narrow subset.
Right. Otherwise it would be like sending a customer service representative into the field without proper training.
Yep.
They'd be lost.
Totally lost that.
Okay. And then the last factor you mentioned was data distribution.
Yes.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so data distribution refers to how data points are spread across different categories or values.
Okay.
Think of it like the demographics of a population.
Okay.
How many people are in different age groups or income levels?
Okay. So why is data distribution important for AI training?
Well, you want your training data set to mirror the real-world distribution of data that your model will encounter.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're training a self-driving car,
Okay.
the data set should include a variety of driving conditions.
Yeah.
Cities, streets, highways,
Right.
rain, snow.
Right. You don't want to train a self-driving car only on sunny days in California.
Exactly.
It would be completely unprepared for a snowstorm in Boston.
Exactly.
Okay, so gathering all this data
Yeah.
sounds like a massive undertaking.
It can be.
Are there shortcuts or strategies that dataset engineers use to create these massive data sets?
Yeah, absolutely. So one approach is to leverage existing public data sets.
Okay.
There are many publicly available data sets for a wide range of tasks and domains,
Okay.
from image recognition to natural language processing.
So it's like having access to a vast library of information that's already been collected and organized.
Exactly.
Okay. What other strategies are there?
Another common technique is data augmentation,
Okay.
where you create new data points from existing ones
Okay.
by applying various transformations.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Sure. So if you have a data set of images,
Okay.
you could flip them, rotate them,
Okay.
adjust the brightness
Okay.
to create multiple variations.
So it's like taking a single recipe
Yeah.
and creating multiple dishes by adding different spices or altering cooking time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so data augmentation allows you to expand your data set
Right.
without having to collect entirely new data.
Yeah, which can save a lot of time and resources.
Okay, that sounds incredibly useful.
It is.
Especially when gathering new data is challenging or expensive.
Yeah.
Are there any other data generation techniques that are particularly innovative?
Well, there's a fascinating technique called synthetic data generation,
Okay.
where you use AI models to create entirely new data points
Wow.
that mimic real data characteristics.
Wait. So you're using AI to create data
Yeah.
to train other AI models.
Exactly.
That's mind blowing.
It is pretty wild.
Okay.
But it's becoming increasingly common,
Okay.
and it can be really beneficial when dealing with sensitive or private data
Okay.
that can't be easily collected or shared.
So you're creating a virtual world of data
Yeah.
that mirrors the real world,
Mm.
but without the privacy concerns.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
So once you've gathered your data, whether
Yeah.
it's from public data sets, data augmentation, or synthetic generation,
Right.
there's another crucial step.
Yes.
Data processing.
Data process.
Okay, what's that all about?
So data processing is all about cleaning,
Okay.
transforming and preparing the data for training.
Okay.
It's like taking a rough diamond and polishing it to reveal its brilliance.
Oh, okay.
It involves tasks like removing duplicates, correcting errors, converting data formats,
Okay.
and even generating new features from existing ones.
So it's about refining the raw data
Yeah.
to make it as suitable as possible for training your AI models.
Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
meticulous
Okay.
but essential step
Okay.
in ensuring data quality and consistency.
Okay, so imagine we've built this fantastic AI model,
Yeah.
and we've carefully curated the training data.
Right.
What happens next?
Right.
How do we actually put this model into action and make it work in a real world setting?
That's a great question.
Like building the model seems like only half the battle.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So what are the challenges of actually deploying an AI model
Right.
and making it work effectively?
Well, just like a powerful car needs a finely tuned engine to perform at its best,
Okay.
even a powerful AI model needs to be optimized for efficient operation.
Okay.
And that brings us to the fascinating world of inference optimization.
Inference optimization.
Inference
I don't know,
optimization.
it sounds like we're about to fine tune the engine of our AI
Exactly.
to make sure it runs smoothly and efficiently.
So, Leslie.
Okay, so why is inference optimization so important?
Yeah.
If you have a strong model,
Mhm.
shouldn't it just work well no matter what?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
You see, training a model is like building a powerful engine,
Okay.
but inference is like taking that engine out for a spin on the racetrack.
Okay.
Even a high-performance engine needs to be properly tuned to reach its full potential on the track.
I see the analogy.
Yeah.
So you're saying that even a great AI model needs to be optimized to perform at its best in real world situations? Okay, so what are some of the challenges that can arise during inference?
Yeah.
And what do engineers do to address them?
Well, one common challenge is latency,
Okay.
which is the time it takes for the model to process input and produce an output.
Okay.
So imagine a voice assistant that takes several seconds to respond to your request.
Right.
It would be incredibly frustrating, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
It definitely ruins the experience.
Yeah.
So inference optimization often focuses on reducing latency to make the model respond as quickly as possible.
Okay.
But speed isn't the only factor.
What else is important to consider?
Well, another key consideration is cost.
Okay.
Running these powerful AI models can be computationally expensive,
Right.
especially when processing large volumes of data.
So it's like having a sports car.
Yeah.
It's fun to drive,
Yeah.
but it can cost a fortune to fill up the tank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So inference optimization also involves finding ways to reduce the computational resources required to run the model,
Okay.
thus lowering operational costs.
So it's about striking a balance
Right.
between speed, efficiency, and cost effectiveness.
Exactly.
So it's like finding that sweet spot where the AI performs well without breaking the bank.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some of the techniques that engineers use to achieve this optimization?
Well, there are many strategies,
Okay.
and they can vary depending on the type of model and the hardware it's running on.
Okay.
But some general approaches apply across the board.
Okay.
One common technique is batching,
Okay.
which involves grouping multiple inputs together
Okay.
and processing them as a single batch.
Okay.
So it's like taking a busload of passengers.
Yeah.
Instead of having each person drive their own car,
Right.
it's much more efficient.
Okay, so batching is all about streamlining the data processing pipeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what other tricks do engineers use to optimize inference?
Well, another technique is caching,
Okay.
which involves storing the results of previous computations
Okay.
and reusing them when the same input is encountered again.
Okay.
So it's like having a cheat sheet for the model,
okay.
so it doesn't have to redo the same work repeatedly.
So it's like remembering the answer to a math problem.
Yeah,
So you don't have to recalculate it every time.
exactly. Caching is especially effective for tasks involving repetitive computations,
Okay.
like language translation or image recognition.
Okay, makes sense. So it's all about finding those shortcuts to improve efficiency.
Absolutely.
Are there any other optimization strategies that are mentioned in the book?
Well, one that we discussed earlier in the context of fine-tuning
Okay.
is quantization,
Okay.
which involves reducing the precision of numbers used to represent the model's parameters. This can be applied during inference to reduce memory and computational demands without a significant performance hit.
So it's like using a slightly lower resolution image.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
You might lose some minor details, but you can save a lot of storage space.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's step into the world of model parallelism.
Okay.
Yeah.
A powerful technique for handling large models.
Yeah.
That might be too big to run on a single device.
Right.
Model parallelism, it sounds like we're bringing in a team of AI specialists
Yeah.
to work together on a complex problem.
That's a good way to visualize it.
Okay.
So model parallelism involves splitting a large model across multiple devices,
Okay.
allowing it to be processed in parallel,
Okay.
just like a team working on different parts of a project simultaneously.
Okay.
This can significantly speed up computation,
Okay.
especially for large language models.
Okay, so it's like dividing and conquering a complex task.
Yeah.
To get it done faster.
Exactly.
Okay, are there different types of model parallelism?
There are, yeah.
Okay.
One that's particularly relevant to large language models is tensor parallelism,
Okay.
where you split the computation of individual operations,
Okay.
like matrix multiplication,
Okay.
across multiple devices.
So instead of having one worker trying to solve a massive equation,
Right.
you have a team tackling different parts of it concurrently.
Exactly.
Okay, it's a powerful way to speed up those computationally intensive tasks that can be bottlenecks
Yeah.
for large language models.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then the book also mentioned pipeline parallelism, right?
Yes.
How's that different?
So pipeline parallelism involves splitting the model into a series of stages,
Sure.
each running on a separate device.
Okay.
So it's like an assembly line,
Okay.
where each worker specializes in a specific part of the manufacturing process. This allows data to flow smoothly through the model,
Okay.
making the entire process more efficient.
So each stage handles a specific part of the computation, and
Right.
they all work together to produce the final output.
Exactly.
Okay, and then there's data parallelism,
Right.
where you replicate the model
Yeah.
across multiple devices
Mm,
and feed each replica a different subset of the data.
exactly.
So it's like having multiple teams working on the same project,
Yeah.
using different sets of materials.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so you're essentially parallelizing the data processing
Yeah.
to speed things up.
Exactly.
Okay, data parallelism is particularly effective for tasks involving massive amounts of data,
Right.
like image recognition or natural language processing.
Exactly.
It seems like there's a whole toolbox of techniques for optimizing inference.
There is, yeah.
Each with its own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
So choosing the right combination of techniques
Mm-hmm.
often involves a careful trade-off
Yeah.
between performance, cost, and complexity.
Exactly.
It's like a mechanic trying to optimize a car's performance.
Yeah.
They need to consider all the different parts and how they interact to get the best results.
Right.
Okay, so we've explored the technical aspects of building and optimizing AI models.
Yeah.
But there's another crucial element that we haven't touched on yet,
Okay.
and that's the human factor.
Right. That's important.
Ultimately, AI systems are created to serve human needs
Yeah.
and solve human problems.
Right.
And that means gathering feedback from real users is essential
Yeah.
to make sure those systems are truly effective and valuable. So even with all these advanced algorithms and powerful computers,
Yeah.
we still need that human touch
Absolutely.
to ensure that AI is working as intended.
Yeah, that's a good point. The book actually dedicates a whole chapter to the importance of user feedback in AI engineering.
Okay.
It outlines strategies for collecting and leveraging that feedback to continually improve these systems.
Okay, so how do we integrate user feedback into the AI development process?
Well, the book emphasizes that user feedback isn't just about measuring satisfaction.
Okay.
It's valuable data that can be used to improve the performance,
Okay.
the safety, and even the ethics of AI systems.
Oh, okay.
So think of it as a feedback loop
Okay.
that helps these systems learn and evolve.
So user feedback is like a conversation
Yeah.
between the AI and its users,
Exactly.
helping it learn and adapt over time.
Yeah.
Okay. And this feedback can come in many forms, right?
Right.
From explicit ratings and reviews
Yeah.
to more subtle signals like user behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just about what people say,
Right.
but also how they interact with this system.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the book outlines a comprehensive architecture for incorporating user feedback
Right.
into the AI engineering process.
Yeah.
Um, can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah.
Like what are the key components
Yeah.
and how do they work together?
So it starts with designing a system to collect that feedback
Okay.
in a way that's both effective and user-friendly.
Okay.
So one important factor is choosing the right feedback mechanisms.
Okay.
This could involve explicit prompts for ratings or reviews,
Okay.
or more passive tracking of user behavior,
Okay.
like how long they engage with a feature.
So you need to strike a balance
Yeah.
between actively seeking feedback
Yeah.
and observing user behavior organically.
Exactly.
Okay, and the choice will depend on the type of AI system and the goal of the feedback collection.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another critical aspect is ensuring that the feedback system is user-friendly and doesn't interrupt the flow of their experience.
Right, you don't want to bombard users with constant requests for feedback or disrupt their workflow. That
Exactly.
would just lead to frustration and disengagement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it's crucial to integrate feedback mechanisms seamlessly into the user experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you've collected the user feedback,
Right.
the next step is to analyze and interpret that data
Yeah.
to extract meaningful insights.
Right.
That sounds like it could be a daunting task.
It can be.
Yeah. How do you make sense of all that feedback and translate it into actionable improvements?
Well, the book suggests several approaches.
Okay.
One is to leverage AI itself to analyze and categorize user feedback.
Okay.
So natural language processing techniques can identify patterns in textual feedback,
Okay.
while machine learning can cluster feedback based on various criteria.
So it's like using AI to help us understand what humans are saying about AI.
That's pretty meta.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
right.
But it's becoming increasingly common as AI systems get more complex and generate massive amounts of user feedback.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What are some other ways to analyze feedback data?
Well, another approach is using dashboards and visualizations to track key metrics related to user feedback.
Okay.
This can help pinpoint areas where the system excels
Okay.
and areas that need improvement.
So it's like having a control panel for the AI system.
Yeah.
Where you can monitor its vital signs
Mm-hmm.
and make adjustments as needed.
Exactly.
Okay.
And these dashboards can be customized to display the most relevant metrics for a particular system,
Sure.
whether that's user satisfaction,
Okay.
task completion rates,
Right.
or the frequency of certain types of errors.
Right.
The key is to translate those insights into tangible improvements.
Right. Data analysis is only valuable if it leads to action.
So how do you turn those insights into real changes?
Well, that can involve retraining the model on a new data set,
Yeah.
adjusting the model's parameters,
Okay.
or even redesigning certain aspects of the system's functionality.
So it's like a cycle of continuous improvement
Yeah.
where user feedback guides the evolution of the AI system.
Exactly.
Okay. And the book emphasizes that this cycle is never truly complete.
Right.
As AI interacts with the world and gathers more data,
Hmm.
there will always be new opportunities for learning and improvement.
Absolutely.
So it's an ongoing conversation between the AI and its users,
Yeah.
with each interaction shaping its development.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
This really highlights the importance of considering the user experience throughout the entire AI engineering process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and the book also delves into a specific type of user feedback that's particularly relevant for conversational AI.
Right.
Conversational feedback.
Conversational feedback.
Okay, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so this refers to feedback embedded within the natural flow of interaction with chatbots
Okay,
or other.
you're right. It's like having a detailed record of the AI's journey, allowing us to understand its decisions and identify areas for improvement. It's fascinating how much insight we can gain from monitoring and logging. Okay, so we've got the AI application, context augmentation, guardrails, caching, and monitoring. What's the next piece of this intricate puzzle?
The next component is the AI pipeline orchestration, which is responsible for managing the flow of data and computations between different parts of the system. Think of it like an air traffic controller, ensuring that all the planes in this case, The different components of our AI system take off land and navigate smoothly without any collisions.
So it's about coordinating all the moving parts to make sure the entire system functions efficiently and seamlessly.
It's exactly. It involves orchestrating the activities of context augmentation, guardrails, caching monitoring, and even the AI models themselves. This is where workflow management systems and data pipelines become essential tools for ensuring smooth operation. Think of it like creating a well-organized factory floor, where each component has its specific role and they all work together in perfect harmony.
It's amazing to think about the level of complexity involved in building these AI systems. It's like creating a symphony of data and algorithms,
Oh,
all working together to achieve a specific goal.
it truly is. And then, of course, we have the user feedback analysis component, where we take all that valuable feedback data and extract actionable insights. We've touched on some strategies for analyzing user feedback already, but this component is all about putting those strategies into action.
Right. We discuss using techniques like natural language processing and sentiment analysis to understand what users are telling us, both explicitly and implicitly.
Precisely. This component is where data scientists and AI engineers really shine. They use their expertise to uncover patterns, trends, and opportunities for improvement hidden within the feedback data. Think of them as detectives, piecing together clues to solve the mystery of how to make the AI system even better.
So it's a continuous cycle of learning and improvement, driven by the insights we gather from user feedback. The AI system is constantly evolving and adapting based on how people are actually using it and what they're telling us about their experiences.
Exactly. And this user-centric approach is especially crucial when dealing with conversational feedback. Remember, conversational AI systems like chatbots present unique challenges because the feedback is often interwoven with the natural flow of conversation.
Right. We talked about the challenge of interpreting feedback that isn't explicitly positive or negative,
Yeah.
like the user who told the chatbot, "I'm just browsing."
Exactly. Deciphering the user's intent and sentiment from those subtle cues requires a deep understanding of natural language processing and sentiment analysis.
It's like reading between the lines of a conversation to understand the underlying message.
Precisely. But this also presents unique opportunities. Conversational AI allows for a more natural and dynamic exchange with users, giving us a richer and more nuanced understanding of their needs and preferences. Think of it like having an ongoing dialogue with your users, where each interaction provides valuable insights.
That's a great way to think about it. It's not just about collecting data points, it's about fostering a relationship with your users and learning from their experiences.
Exactly. And there are so many exciting ways to leverage this conversational feedback. You can use reinforcement learning to train chatbots to adapt their behavior based on user responses, personalize the experience based on past interactions, and even use AI to summarize and analyze large volumes of conversational data to identify emerging trends or areas for improvement.
This is also fascinating. It feels like we're on the cusp of a new era of AI, where these systems are becoming more intelligent, responsive, and intuitive.
We truly are. And it's all thanks to the incredible work being done by AI engineers and data scientists who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible with these technologies.
Well, this deep dive has been an incredible journey. We've covered a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals of AI engineering to the intricacies of user feedback analysis.
It's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating field with you. I hope our listeners are feeling more informed and inspired to learn more about the incredible world of AI engineering.
I agree. It's clear that AI is rapidly changing the world around us, and understanding these technologies is more important than ever. So to our listeners, we encourage you to stay curious, keep exploring, and engage in the conversation about the future of AI. Who knows what amazing breakthroughs we'll witness in the years to come?
The possibilities are truly limitless. And before we sign off, I want to remind our listeners that Chip Huyen's book, AI Engineering, Building Applications with Foundation Models, provides a fantastic roadmap for navigating this complex and rapidly evolving field.
Absolutely. It's an invaluable resource for anyone who wants to understand the nuts and bolts of AI engineering and gain a deeper appreciation for the incredible work being done in this field.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and
Well,
keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
that's a great note to end on. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.